Greetings and welcome to you know what it is Monday night, and it is comic book talk with friends. Hi everybody, welcome aboard. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I know there's people in other places, but for those who are actually tuning in tonight with us, so glad to actually have you here. As always, as we dive into everything, all things, everything's comics, and of
Let's
course, we're
get
going to dive
naked.
into. Let's get naked. That's funny. So basically, we're going to definitely be diving into She-Hulk episode 2. So we're going to have that discussion first half. Second half, it's going to be interesting discussion because we're going to talk about physical media versus the digital world now, and how you basically get your comics, how you read your comics, pros and cons of both. And is the physical space, will it basically have a lasting impression and a lasting stance in this community? I think it will. I mean, everybody likes to have those sticky pages in their hand, those color pages. Is it always? So I even thought about actually opening up a comic book shop myself called Color Pages. I think that's going to be on the cards. Stay tuned. That's going to be coming. It's going to be ran by, uh, you know, Vinny. It's going to be a whole bunch of females dressed up as She-Hulk walking around. And yes. Anyway, thank you guys for basically tuning in. It's
About
going
to
to be
get
a
us
great show.
canceled.
It's going. It's going to be a great show, but of course, I can't do this without the panel. Let me bring everybody in. What's going on, brothers? How y'all doing tonight, man?
Good, man.
Room's about to be a library.
He's about to be alive. Oh man, so glad to have everybody here with us, man. It's gonna be an awesome show tonight. Again, before we kind of dive in, I want to pull some stuff up, just to kind of let people know some housekeeping, as we always want to call it. We are still basically pushing full throttle on the Halloween initiative. Of course, again, all the proceeds and all super chats goes towards this initiative to make sure that all kids have costumes and they are celebrating Halloween and they're in such a good place. So definitely, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. We're going to be running that the entire month of up until this October 1st. Again, once we basically reach up to 500, there's going to be a silent contributor who said that he will match up to $500 in contributions. So definitely I'm so happy about that. Looking forward to it. One other thing I wanted to actually put out there again, definitely the raffle is going to start on Wednesday. That raffle is for the Iron Scavenger Halloween Initiative. This is the Iron Scavenger from Jazz Inc. So the raffle is going to start on Wednesday. There will be spots picked, $20 per spot. So basically, once you get your entry, we will have a straight up legal and live spin. So we're basically doing it the right way, so you know exactly that we're keeping it honest. So definitely we would do that. But again, there's going to be spots, $20 per spot, to win your chance or to earn your chance to win this Iron Scavenger from Jazz Inc., which
Make
is
sure
the
you have
Vulture.
the shelf space.
Definitely make sure you have
That
the
thing
shelf
is no
space because
joke.
that thing is no joke. It is super huge. It is big. But yes, definitely so glad to be doing that. But other than that, fellas, what's going
Very
on,
cool.
man? Butt naked, how was your day, man?
It's been good, man. Yeah, I actually got just a couple hours ago in the mail. I had bought this off a gentleman, and so I just got in uh, the first Frank Miller Daredevil book.
Yeah,
So this was a big get for me. So I was
yeah,
excited
yeah.
to pick that up. So snagged that. I may or may not have bought 47 Daredevil books today.
You
Um,
did. You already told me you did.
yeah, I did. Um, but that's what it is. You buy what you like.
Buy
So
what you like. That's what
yeah,
it's all about.
it's been a good day. My wife is back to school today,
Yeah, yeah.
and then my kids go back on Wednesday, and then I'll have the house to myself during the day for the
Always good
rest of the
to know.
school year. So I love my family, but get the fuck out of the house. So
So you love the family, but you gotta have that space.
well,
That's
yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I run my business from my home. Like I'm at home editing client projects and stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when they're on summer vacation, like they're home, but they're in my office because I'm not on summer vacation. So now they
Yeah.
go back, and I can be a little bit more productive during the work week. So
Hell
you
yeah.
know,
I get it. I mean, it's always good to have your space. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
want to have your quiet space sometimes. That's how it is for me. The kids are back to school. Um, Toya is actually, back to teaching. So I'm here all by my
yeah,
lonesome,
man,
just
in the
working
grind.
and taking a break, so I'm cool. I'm definitely excited about that, especially when you're working from home. So yeah, definitely excited about that. Vinny, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I had a fun weekend. We ran away to the beach on Saturday and had a nice little quick beach visit. One more fix for the season. Just pretty much just chilled on Sunday, organizing, bagging and boarding, and catching up on some reading. I'm trying to binge through some Fantastic Four because I'm way behind on them. And
Yeah.
then today had a productive day at work, and I come home to our badges, New York Comic Con. So hype begins.
Yeah.
Hype train begins. So I'm very excited for that. Got a lot on my plate that I want to get accomplished there. So, yeah, I can't wait, man. So I'm hyped for that, and got a lot of art projects that I got to get to soon. But I'm excited to talk about some She-Hulk. A lot happened in the last episode, and definitely can't wait to dig into the digital versus physical media. That's always a running constant convo between comic and pop culture heads in general, not just comics, but to all kinds of physical media. Us old heads like this, have a different take on things than these young
Yeah.
cats who they don't even know what it's like to wait at a GameStop or Best Buy for a midnight release.
Yeah.
They don't got to anymore. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm looking forward to dig into that. So I'm doing well, man.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And again, like I said, it was my thing is like okay, so let's kind of like let me address the chat real quick, and then we're gonna kind of dive in here because I definitely want to talk about this She-Hulk because I was hearing a lot like people were disappointing they were disappointed not with the show but with the running time and stuff like that. But we'll definitely dive in. We got Tobar in the building. My man Keith, thank you for being here. We got Renz Talentino. First Locust 92 is in the building. We got Bob Dylan in the building. Malika Mabane, my man, thank you for being here, my brother. Who else we got? We got Blue Tattoo. We got Renz Talentino out there. We got that ill Yankee in the building. Pure Stewage.
Man.
Who else we got? One Pouch Man is in the building. Blitz 0065 is in the building. And yes, man, we'll have a few more people actually tuning in later on. But yes, definitely. We got Cameron Montijo in the building and Two Ferns. Thank you for being here as always. So yeah. So again, man, let's talk about this She-Hulk episode, bro. Like it was running time was about 30 minutes, about 34 minutes, and basically that was with credits. I think it was a little less. It was quick. But even with it being quick, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because of character
yeah,
building. You know what I mean? I love the character building. I love seeing her with the family. And might I say, for a CGI character, she is a beautiful CGI character, bro. It's dope.
yep,
Like they did it so well, and I love the actress. Her portrayal of She-Hulk, she is knocking it out the park, bro. She is super, super duper funny. But I love the banter between her and her family in this episode. I love the banter between her and her friends. And on top of that, man, there was a lot of Easter eggs. There's a few Easter eggs in here. One that now we can, officially confirm that, as we already do, but we can confirm that Wolverine is part of this particular universe, based on the conversation or that news flash that came across. So again, so glad to see that. But let me start with you, Vinny. What did you think about this episode and how it panned out? Like, I mean, just for instance, like just the opener with her going to the bar. Meeting, we're, learning that, she has a cult following so far. People love the simple fact that she's She-Hulk, she's welcomed in, and she's not feared as a character. So it's a complete 180 reverse from the Hulk himself and how
Right.
he was received first go. What did you think about that opening scene, man?
Yeah, it's it's interesting because there's one of the big differences in the comics anyway between Marvel and DC is that DC heroes are always revered and have museums and are admired and they're so successfully viewed by the general public. Whereas in Marvel in the comics, it's typically the other way, where a lot of the heroes are it's like very polarizing and it's not always even the most popular heroes. I mean, of course, you have a Spider-Man and Menace and all that, and except for a few, most of the time it's like a love-hate relationship with the general public. And in the films, it seems to be more of a positive thing. So I like that MCU has a little bit more of a tolerance or acceptance for these heroes than we see in the books. So that's definitely something else that's like a difference that we see. So she's definitely accepted immediately, and but I do like the ramifications of her actions in the court. Like it cost her, you know, likability from the public, but a liability as far as legally and as far as getting a job and cost of her job and everything like that. So I like that there was ramifications of that because, as there would be if you were to use your powers, and I mean that's part of what the whole Registration Act and Sokovia Accords was all about. Is you don't just do whatever you want with your powers. So that was interesting twist on it. Then I did love the stuff with the family, the dynamic that she has to deal with, that kind of pressure of her family wanting certain things from her. But it was a short episode, but I didn't really take hold that against it because I kind of go into every Disney Plus show thinking if we get more than half an hour, it's a bonus. It's kind of their formula. So
Yeah.
it's disappointing, but it's not something that's surprising. So if I see 30, 32 minutes on the counter when I press play, I'm not like, what the fuck? I'm just, I expect it. So I feel like they packed a lot into that 30 minutes, though. I didn't feel like, you know, what the hell? Like they didn't finish. I felt like that
Yeah.
was, I felt like it was a productive 30 minutes. We got investment with what's going on with Hulk, and that was a huge thing for me to see that. And and we got to see progress as to what's going on with her character, and of course Abomination, which is really exciting because I love that they're tying Eli into it, and the way they did it was pretty strong so far.
Yeah.
So I dug the episode. I didn't really read much feedback from it, good or bad. So I'm not sure what most people were thinking about it, but I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely dug it. Especially with the opener, how she was received, at the bar. It just it, the thing is, it's like the conversation she had with the other public defender,
Mhm.
and the statement that he made, he was like, "Oh, I see a chick at the bar. I'm gonna go talk to it." Like I was
Yep.
like, "Yo, they just throw those little things in there like every now and then." Like it was crazy. But yeah, Butt Naked, what did you think about the episode, bro?
I loved it, and I think it did exactly what it should do. Is that it left me wanting more. Um, I have no problem with the runtime. Again, it leaves you wanting more in a good way. I feel like
Yeah.
rather than like you feel like I didn't get enough out of this for to enjoy. But also they told us like forever ago this is a half hour sitcom. This is
Yeah.
Marvel's sitcom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and they told us that from jump. So anybody who's complaining now about the episodes being too short, it's like if you just don't like that from a style perspective, okay, that's fine. But it shouldn't be a
Yeah.
surprise to anybody because
Yeah.
they have said this
Hmm.
so much in the in the lead up to this show. Um,
Yeah.
I loved everything about. I mean, it was I love how they set up in the first episode. Oh, as Hulks, like our metabolism, you can drink and drink and drink, and you're just a buzz, and you're never gonna get drunk. they set it up perfectly. So by saying that in the first episode, so when she switches to She-Hulk from She-Hulk to human form after she's been pounding shots, all of a sudden she goes from stone sober to like drunk and what as she's getting
Yeah.
fired. That
Yeah.
was great setup comedy. It was done really, really well. I loved her father is played
Mhm.
by Mark Lynn Baker. For anybody,
Oh
back
man,
in the 80s and
classic.
90s, Perfect Strangers,
Perfect Stranger and Balky.
cousin Larry Appleton, Balki Bartakamus.
Yeah,
And so
hell
seeing
yeah,
him in there, it
One of
was just
the most
again
underrated sitcoms of all time.
hell yeah.
I loved that sitcom growing up, and it's brilliant bringing in a classic sitcom actor into Marvel's sitcom, on Disney Plus. I think they nailed it, because you're bringing in people who understand sitcoms, and they understand the timing and
Mhm.
how stuff is delivered in that format. And to her credit, Tatiana Maslany is her comedic timing in this show
It's
is amazing.
perfect. It's
It's
perfection,
so
bro.
good.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely perfection.
yeah, and so I loved everything about the episode. I loved how, it also gives us an understanding of where this show, at least the first two episodes, where it falls within the MCU timeline, because we see, okay, those first two episodes took place like at the beginning of Shang-Chi, like right
Yeah.
around the beginning, and then
Mhm.
we see that right at the end of episode 2, that is when he was, with Wong over in the
Hmm.
club. So it gives us a sense of where this fits into the kind of, the tapestry of the MCU right now in this phase. So yeah, I really dug that. I thought the comedy, I thought everything was really on point. Um, and I mean, I don't think anything can sum it up better than Dan Slott, who is longtime comic book writer, has written tons of Spidey for years,
Yeah.
and he put out because he was able to see the first 4 episodes, like a lot of other press were, and Dan Slott was like, I have written more She-Hulk comics than anybody in the history of the world, and I can tell you that these first 4 episodes are sensational. So
Hmm.
this is the guy who literally wrote the book on She-Hulk, is
Yeah.
saying this is legit, this is faithful to what we've been doing in the comics for years. This show is worth it, and I think the first 2 episodes have borne that out.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. I definitely loved it. I love just, and the thing is, it's like for me, I don't, me personally, I don't want, I, I want the build. I want the character build, but then I want to build up to something. You know what I mean? Like I don't want it to be just all out war. Again, punches and powers type of situation in the very beginning without character building, without just the substance of the character, where that character is going, where she is in her life. Because she's struggling now with the simple fact that number one, I mean, she has a gig, loses her job because she's actually saved the entire jury. But
Mhm.
the people who got her fired, the company that got her fired hires her on for their superhero
Mhm.
division. So she's a public defender for the superheroes, which basically makes sense. But it's just like, again, I like seeing that dynamic, because it's more like, she doesn't know whether or not it's something that she should do, if she wants to do it. It is what it is at this particular point. But I just love that. Jedi K, what did you think about this episode, man?
First of all, what's going on, fellas? Good to see you
Hey,
guys. I'm
brother,
glad I made it.
I'm glad to have you here, man.
Bro, the show was good, man. I
Yeah.
like how it ended with Hulk on the ship going. I think it's going
Yeah.
to the car,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to set up Scar. Because on Sakaar, time is different. You know what I'm saying? Because they're talking about all those wormholes, all those
Yeah.
Einstein roads and bridges, so time can be different. And you got to think about the fact that Hulk was a gladiator for like 2-3 years. So who's
Yeah.
to say like he wasn't getting no nookie on the planet? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a setup
Yeah.
for Planet Hulk, man. I think it's going to be that phase 6 is going to be dope with him. Hopefully, we'll get like the Hulk, at least a stronger version of him. He can still be smart. Professor Hulk in the comics was a beast still. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know. And with Jen herself, I think it's cool to have him step off. You know, because you'll get. I want to get more of her, like you were saying, more character development with her before
Yeah.
she's all out brawling and beating up everybody or whatever. But because I feel like if Hulk was still here, for most of her show, he would kind of be in her shadow. People would be expecting to see Hulk. So now that Hulk is off taking care of his own business, you can focus more on her. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really and what's my girl? What's her name? The actress
Which
Tatiana
one?
that plays her. Yeah,
Tatiana
Miss
Maslany.
Lonnie. She is a great actress, bro. She's funny as hell. Like her like her comic timing is fun. She's right on point, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she's a good fit for She-Hulk character because she's quirky like that in the comics too. So I mean, I think it's a good fit. I can't wait to see episode 3. So
Plus, that
my
actress
only
is good with drama too, so we know that
yeah yeah
the door is open for them to do some serious character development when the time calls for it. So because she can do both.
yeah. But see,
Yeah.
only thing I'm turned off about is seeing Blonsky in the suit, like Abomination in like a suit with a t-shirt and a jacket. It's like, oh my god, like I don't know about that, man. I don't want them to like. I know he has control over Abomination now, but like to see him in like a khaki suit with a white tee, I'm like, I don't know. I don't
Interesting to
know
see
about
how
that.
what take. That's what I say. I want to
Yeah,
watch it to see where they're going to go with it. But I want to talk about
yeah,
something
yeah.
real quick that was addressed because we've heard
Mm-hmm.
this, pretty much on different streams. But it was
Mm-hmm.
also something that a lot of us were, quite inquisitive about. But they answered it on the show so far. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we got some recognition for it. And it's one, like I said, the one thing is like, okay, yes, we know about the Hulk Easter egg. I mean not the Wolverine Easter egg. So we saw that man fight
Oh
with
yeah,
metal
Wolverine.
claws
Yeah.
in a brawl. But at
Mm-hmm.
the bottom, why is there a giant statue of a man sticking out
Oh,
of the
from
ocean
Eternals. Yeah.
from Eternals?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that
Mm-hmm.
gives us some good because one, it's a call to the Eternals, so like that's literally the first mention that anybody has
Yep.
made of it in any of these shows, and it's like, how has that not been like headline news for things?
I didn't even catch
even
it.
the
Where
fact
was
that it's
that?
just a little thing like that,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
with man fights with metal claws in bar brawl, that also gives
Mhm.
us a sense of a timeline. Because then
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
it's after Logan goes through the Weapon X program. So when
Yeah,
we
he's already
see
there.
Wolverine, it's not going to be like a super early origin
Beginning.
stuff. I mean, he may be
Mm-hmm.
newer to his role with, other mutants like the X-Men and stuff, but we do
Mhm.
know that he's going to be post Weapon X.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
was that
Yeah.
Eternals
Yeah.
mentioned?
Where was it
It
mentioned? I
was
show you.
right
They-
under that. It was on the
It
same
was
shot that
on
he
it was
the-
on the same shot.
It's on the magazine article. The same article
Yeah.
with Wolverine.
I
they
mean,
talked
it was.
about.
I didn't catch it in the show. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
see,
That's
right
she was
there
on
at
her
the
Yeah.
bottom.
laptop.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
gotcha.
So it was there. It's like
Mhm.
they throw those things in real quick.
Iron Man 3s. I
Iron
love
Man
that.
3s.
Yeah, but you
I
know what
fucking
else
love
I
it.
think that's going to tie in to
Yeah.
the Planet Hawk and Eternals. I think, man, is the Eternals are going to end up on the Sakaar too. I think because they have on Sakaar they have that portal Devil's Anus. That's the biggest portal that one can take you anywhere you want in the universe, right? So the Eternals are trying to save the other Eternals from God, what's his name? Their maker. Oh my God, I can't remember his name.
Ersham.
But they're trying to save
Harrison, the
Harrison.
Celestial.
Ersham the judge.
Right. They're trying to save him from. They're trying to save the other ones from Harrison. So with using those anus, they can go to Sakaar and go right to Harrison. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that could have a little connection with Sakaar and Planet Hawk and everything for fate. Man, I'm looking at it.
What you're
I'm
saying
so
is
glad
the
that
key
they.
is anal.
Yeah, it is. It actually is. It actually is.
That's what he was saying. I'm just.
Mm-hmm.
So
The devil's anus.
we
But
know.
so, well,
Yeah, go
Lael and I were talking yesterday about the
Mhm.
Eternals, being part of this, and when we were talking about it, we were talking about the current Axe event in comics, the
Yeah.
Avengers versus the X-Men versus the Eternals, and
Mhm.
not giving away like anything crazy, but like a kind of like core kind of kickoff point for the Axe event right now is the Eternals looking at mutants as deviants, right? And now
shit.
we've got the Eternals in the X-Men. We've got the Eternals in the MCU, and we know the
Mhm.
X-Men are coming
Or in the
soon as
MCU.
well.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
both of those are call-outs in this single shot together. I
Mhm.
know Axe is like a new thing, but we have seen, the mirrored content between comics and
MCU.
the
Mhm.
MCU. So it's
Mhm.
entirely possible that what they're doing in the comics is kind of setting up a similar approach that they might be taking in the MCU as far as how mutants come into play and how they engage or interact with the Eternals. And that
Mhm.
may be some kind of that may be a catalyst. Now who knows, that it might not be, because again the Axe event is going on right now, so it is brand new, but
Yeah.
that could be part of how they weave X-Men or weave mutants into the MCU and tie
Mhm.
the Eternals in, because right now the Eternals are very much, they feel very much separated from the rest of the MCU, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
But
Could
see,
be.
I think this is setting up like a huge event with between Planet Hawk, the Eternals, She-Hulk. This She-Hulk show is gonna blow up or send up or it's gonna connect something real big for the rest of the MCU Phase 6.
Can you
I think
imagine?
that
Can you imagine if they did
mm,
a World War Hulk movie, or like even a
mhm,
multiple, like just World War Hulk, where
mhm,
there's no Thanos, there's no Kang, there's no the other, like Hulk
right,
is the guy that all the heroes are going up against. Like legit, do it like the
right,
comics,
right.
and you're not building up any other hero, any other
Yeah.
villain or something like that.
But
There's
but
no
look,
Mandarin or anything like that. It's just
but
them going up against Hulk.
you also think about Sakar, right? Sakar is like it can be like a hub. You know what I'm saying? People want to come from near and far to use that main portal to go places. Boom, 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 right? And like the games are the only thing there that make people happy, right? So why not have them like use the games as like a means of payment to use the portal? You know what I'm saying? Where you could bring in people like the freaking Gladiator, bro, or have Hercules fight in the game to use a portal to go to Earth to go beat the heroes or whatever his dad wants him to,
Well, to be
or
honest,
you can
after
have.
the way they brought in Hercules and dealt with
Yeah.
Odin, sorry, dealt with Zeus
Yeah.
in that movie,
Yeah, yeah, I know it was
I don't
whack,
even
but
want to see Hercules. I just
I definitely
yeah,
don't.
no.
I
yeah,
don't want to see that
I'm
they're gonna
iteration of
use him though,
Hercules at
bro.
all. I know, but that's
Right.
the problem. And that's why, like I
Yep.
said, I mean, I felt as though them bringing Hercules into that movie was rushed. It was rushed.
Oh,
Mhm.
100%.
It was
My
rushed.
my only hope is that if Hercules shows up in something else, that it is like, if he shows up in the MCU, it's elsewhere and not in a Thor movie done by Taika Waititi. So
Yeah.
then somebody else
Oh
can
God,
run
I
with
hope
it.
not.
But I feel like they set that up so that, like, I mean, where else are you going to bring Zeus and Hercules back but a Thor movie right now? The way
A Thor
they did
Yeah.
movie.
that in that,
And I think
and I
that
don't want to see it.
what they're doing, especially with the Hulk being off world right now, there's
Mm-hmm.
so many things that can tie into it. Now, today, to basically kind of like put it this way, I hear what you're saying. I hate to be this guy though. I don't want to be this guy, but I have to be this guy because
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the direction where they're going with the MCU right now and the tie-ins, but what they're setting up. So of course we know at this particular point they are setting up Secret Wars. the Kang
Secret
Dynasty.
Wars,
We
yeah.
know they're going
The
that
Kang
route.
Dynasty.
So, with this
Mhm.
basically being said, all of that has
I think World
it
War
has
Hulk's
its
coming
place.
too.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
my thing is, we know that She-Hulk. Now, here's the thing: we know that they're giving us Secret Wars,
Mhm.
but we don't know which iteration of Secret Wars they're giving us. We don't know if it's
Oh
the
man.
earlier version with the
They're-
Beyonder. We
They're
have no
teasing
idea.
it, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I would love to see Battle World because that made
Mhm.
sense to have both She-Hulk, the Hulk, of course, their
Mhm. Maybe
whatever
Scar.
iteration.
I'm hoping Scar.
It won't be.
I'm hoping for Scar, bro.
It
Now,
won't be.
Because
So, our friend Robert Meyer Burnett, he had an interesting conversation with John Campia the other day.
Mhm.
All right,
Mhm.
and they were talking about how forever Olivia Wilde has been rumored to be directing a Spider-Woman movie
Yeah.
for Sony. Okay.
If
Oh,
she's still
boy.
doing it.
But so she did an interview recently, and she didn't say that she was doing something with Sony. She said she can neither confirm nor deny, but like she is working on a project that she's just not allowed to talk about. But she said, I just love the way that Marvel is doing this, bringing in different filmmakers with different capabilities to do different things. And people were like, oh, wait a minute. She said that she loves how Marvel is doing this, not how Sony is doing this.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
then people started to think couple possibilities. One is she maybe directing directing another Marvel movie that is not Spider-Woman, and that could be actually
Madam Web.
Rob had suggested maybe like a Young
The Young
Avengers
Avengers,
because they're
yeah.
bringing in all
Oh,
of those
Young
different
Avengers.
characters. But
Mhm.
I was thinking, and it doesn't seem like they would this would rise to the same level as Spider-Man and how Sony and Marvel worked out that deal. But what if Sony and Marvel worked out another deal for Spider-Woman, because she's pretty friggin' important to that first Secret Wars
To Secret
saga.
Wars, yeah. The first one, yeah.
So what if she's
Mhm.
actually doing something with Spider-Woman, so they have Spider-Woman for Secret Wars?
Which version though, Jessica?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or she's
Or
one of the many people who confuse Marvel and Sony like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
know, dude, because she's the word is that she's been involved in getting this off the ground for a while. I
Mhm.
think she's too deep into it at this point to be making a mistake like that. She knows who she's having conversations with. She knows if she's
Yeah.
talking to Sony or if she's talking to people like Kevin Feige. Like, you don't forget that you're talking to the dude in the hat, right? Like,
Mhm.
so I don't think she makes that mistake. I think she's doing an MCU project, not a Sony Spider-Verse project. The only question
Mhm.
is it Jessica Drew Spider-Woman that they're bringing in and weaving into Secret Wars, or is it like a Young Avengers kind of thing, and it doesn't have to do with any Spidey characters? But the rumor for a
I hope
while
it's
has been
Jessica
Spider,
Jones.
and that does line up
I
with
mean, true.
them, doing
Yeah.
Secret Wars. Again, it depends on which
Mhm.
version of Secret Wars they're doing,
Yeah.
or they could be combining. They could be taking elements from both and doing a completely new iteration of Secret Wars that pulls different things from both to make their own
Mhm.
MCU version. But again, I'm just thinking Olivia Wilde working on an MCU, a Marvel project. I don't know. It gets me kind of excited that we could actually get Jessica Drew in there.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
hope she would do the one
it
with
would definitely be
Beyond her.
interesting if they do that, and I would love to
Mhm.
see it.
The first one.
It's
Mhm.
just that my expectations with, I mean, because the thing is, we always say what we think that they would do and what would make sense, and then
They
it's
do the
always
opposite.
something completely to the left.
The
So
opposite.
it's like
Mhm.
kind of hard.
Spider Girl's got to be a little bit more, voluptuous if it's going to be Olivia Wilde. I don't know.
No,
Is that
she's
confirmed?
not. She's not starring. She's directing.
She's directing it.
Olivia Wilde's wait, she's directing. My bad, I didn't realize. I didn't follow
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm about to
and
say.
she's actually
Did she
done
direct?
some really-
Oh, yeah,
What
bro.
has she ever
She's dope.
directed?
She did.
Dude.
She's okay right now. She's doing "Don't Worry, Darling," and then she did. What was that other movie that called?
I can't remember the name of it, but the one she's got right now has that's coming out shortly has what's her name that played Yelena?
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
It has
Harry
her boyfriend in
Styles.
it, Harry Styles.
It's got like a stellar cast, and
Yeah.
she's done some other like lower budget movies that have wowed people. Like she's a legit like talent as a director, and
She got
that's
an
what she's
A1
focused
cast though.
on. She's
Harry
not.
Styles
She's
and
not.
this girl.
She's not starring in it. She's directing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's definitely it's
That's
again.
why I'd be psyched if she was doing something. I mean, her involvement I think is good no matter what, because I think, in my opinion, the Sony Spider-Verse has sucked a fat donkey dick. So if she, comes in, that's talent coming in that can maybe, improve it, great. If
Mhm.
she's coming in on the MCU side of things, then that gives me hope for, something like Spider-Woman and weaving that into Secret Wars. So one way or another, I'm excited about her involvement, but it raises some interesting questions.
Yeah. And did you so and it does. But the thing is, hopefully she can kind of get around everything that's happening between her and Shia LaBeouf right now, because yeah, he put her on blast. So hopefully we can
Again?
that.
Yeah, that's just Hollywood. I mean, and
Well, yeah,
tomorrow
it is.
it'll be something different.
Yeah, she said she said she fired him. Technically, she said she had to let him go. And he's like, nah, unless you basically get back on the media and let them know the truth, I'm going to release a video. And he did. He released a video of her in a car driving, begging him to come back. You know what I mean?
What?
So, oh yeah, the video's out on Twitter. You can catch it there. So yeah, there's a lot going on with her, man. Like, again,
man, that personal life,
gonna-
bro. Damn.
yeah, it's
Shia's a funny cat, man. I don't care whether you like him or hate him. That's a funny cat.
He's
Yeah.
a phenomenal actor.
He's a
He
good
just
actor.
he does some
Great
stupid
actor.
stuff, but then he does an
He's like-
amazing performance, and
he's
it's
like
like,
the-
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the Kanye of acting, where like everything great
Exactly.
he
Yeah.
does, the next day he does something in his personal life that's super wild
Everything
and
he
takes
touches
away.
is gold, though, when it comes to acting, though. But the boy can act his ass off. I gotta give it to him, bro.
No doubt.
Yeah, he's good, bro.
And-
He's definitely a good actor,
Yeah.
bro. Like, you got to give it to him.
Yeah.
dude, all the way
Um,
back in the
yeah.
day, since like his breakout was with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's Project Greenlight on HBO way back in the day when he was a kid.
Booksmart,
Yeah.
And
that's
it was
what
the
it was.
Yeah, I
indie
remember
movie
that.
that they
Yeah.
got made
Mhm.
through that show called The Battle of Shaker Heights. That was his start.
Mhm.
Like, he's a crazy talented actor. A lot of people don't necessarily know that, because if they like hated the Transformers movies, they don't like action. But if you watch him in other stuff, Peanut Butter Falcon, you watch him in Eagle Eye,
Yeah.
like dude is
Wall
is a
Street.
solid actor.
Wall Street.
Yeah, he's a solid
He was
actor.
good in
so-
that.
Yeah,
man.
he's definitely a good
Mhm.
actor, man. So,
Mhm.
but what I
Mhm.
want to, okay, so a couple more things I wanted to kind of touch on here. Of course, the dynamic between her and her family was great.
Yeah, that was funny.
her,
Yeah.
her showing up, pretty much at her new gig, finding out that her new boss now wants her, the entire time. Yeah, like, so she's in her first case was a mill. Her first case that,
Mhm.
basically she picks up is a case with a mill, and we know that, again, history between the mill and her cousin Bruce. But yo, he is such a good actor, bro. Like, straight up, like him when she goes and visits him in prison. When she goes and visits Emil in prison, just a conversation back and forth. And I was expecting it to be, a more aggressive individual. But again, I love the simple fact that conversation, and these conversations, a lot of them are centered around, which they should be. And I find it funny that they're making really, really heavy emphasis on the simple fact that the government has spent time trying to develop or redevelop the super soldier serum. And that's really been a thing in the MCU right now, that they are really dancing around the idea of the super soldier serum and how that serum has ruined lives. You know what I mean? Like literally
Yeah.
has ruined lives
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Him being the
Yeah.
next one. You know, even a conversation that he had, and we talk about, you know, the Hulk, you know, he's a minute, he just, you know, can destroy a city. Y'all hold him up as basically a hero. Me, myself, I'm looked at as a villain. I'm locked in because you basically geek me up on, you know,
Yeah.
this super soldier or this serum going wrong. And, you know, again, now I'm in prison, you know, buying my time. I just want to get out. And he keeps saying his, what was it, 7 pen pals?
His 7 friends.
His
Seven
His 7
soulmates. His
friends.
7
seven
soulmates.
Yeah.
soulmates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Thunderbolts, bro. I'm telling you.
Well, is he?
Yes,
I think it's the Thunderbolts, bro.
It's possible, but like
it seems.
you're definitely
it seems
going to see a
that's what it is.
dynamic with him and John Walker.
Yeah.
Both of them have taken have the, you know, a version of the super soldier serum in them, so there's going to be a dynamic there. This is going to be, it's going to be interesting. They've been setting up. We know that we're getting a Thunderbolts movie.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of configuration they do. I mean, they're literally this Wednesday they relaunch a new Thunderbolts starting #1 in the comics. And the team's got America Chavez on it. It's got Spectrum and is led by Hawkeye. So that's the other thing. You know, what are we gonna get? Is it gonna be like led by, like, say, John Walker or somebody, or is it maybe gonna be like the Thunderbolts, but then they bring in somebody else who's considered, you know, more behaved and, you know, as like the leader, like
You
maybe
know what?
Hawkeye, like they're doing in the comics.
I was
Wong.
also thinking about like the West Coast Avengers too, man.
Yeah, could have Wong lead it for all we know.
You said Wong?
Thunderbolt, like West Coast
Well,
Avengers or something.
Consider the simple fact that Vinny, at the end of this episode, you know, it is exposed that he, you know, basically escaped prison or was taken out of prison by Wong.
Yep.
So that there's going to have to be a fair explanation there, in which we know Wong is in this. So Vinny, what do you think
Well,
that's going to go?
The interesting thing about that is it put a timestamp on this occurring around the same time as Shang-Chi. And which makes it even more interesting because Shang-Chi came out, I believe, well before Eternals, didn't it? So if they're referencing Eternals, that means that Shang-Chi came out, you know, around, you know,
right before, I think,
happened, you know, right after Eternals, despite coming out in theaters before. So they're taking liberties with time placement for sure. But it seemed really, I can't wait for the explanation because there doesn't seem to be a logical one at this point, which is fine. I'm one of the things about not watching a lot of trailers and playing the guessing game with spoilers and stuff like that is I'm genuinely going to be, you know, excited to find out, you know, what, you know, the explanation for Wong breaking him out is, because in Shang-Chi, it made it seem like, you know, Abomination was already a free, you know, person, being, not that this was part of an escape attempt, or because it just seems really odd. Like, I'm going to break you out of this high security prison, and then here's what we're going to do. We're going to go prize fighting, spar. It just is really bizarre. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the explanation of all that is, and how and why Wong is involved, and what Wong would, you know, of all the people that Wong know who are legitimate on the up and up heroes, why Wong would be after Emil instead of any of the other heroes that he knows that, you know, would be more, you know, trustworthy. So maybe there is some kind of plan by Wong to start a, you know, a group or something. Like, he maybe not the head, but maybe he's working with whoever the head is to you know, put a team together for, you know, maybe the Sanctorums is, you know, seeing so much activity over the years that they feel like they need something more than just magic to help them defend Earth.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like that's, you know, what you bring up a very interesting point is the relationship between Wong and Emil. How did that surface? Like, You know, what was
Mhm.
that because it seems like an odd choice, but maybe or it could be that Wong, there was a plan, or Wong needed cover. There was a reason why he wanted to infiltrate certain spaces, so he used a mill, which would be the
Mhm.
logical choice as a prize fighter or as a opponent, you know, during Shang-Chi to kind of infiltrate to find out what was going on. You know, who knows? I mean, I don't
Oh
know, but
yeah.
they're gonna
I like
definitely have to explain that.
I like what he was saying though,
Mhm.
is in his primary point that like Hulk has done just as much collateral damage as I have, and he gets to be paraded around as a celebrity, whereas he's in prison.
Yeah.
Which,
Mhm.
how is he contacting these other seven soulmates if he's in lockdown? He's like those cats on we see on IG who somehow got phones and they're on social media and fucking the cells. It's like how are you
Mhm.
even contacting these other people? And B, it's one of the things that it's always been kind of weird about MCU's version of the Hulk, where he's not hunted. He's just, constantly, he is celebrated, and despite the fact that he's done so much damage and he's killed so many people over the course of the films, and it's just like, well, yeah, well, he also saved the day, so all that stuff. Don't worry about it. So I
Well, he
guess this
wasn't
is
celebrated in Age of Ultron, though. In Age of Ultron, he
That's
was
when he did
like
the damage
looked
in
at as like the
Africa.
bad guy because doing all that
Yeah.
damage, and
Mhm.
then and then you just go into the finale of Age of Ultron, but then he pieces out and he's gone.
right.
So he had, and then he was here for for Infinity War and for Endgame, but we don't actually ever see anybody in the MCU
No,
like revering.
we see kids taking selfies with them. That's not
Yeah,
somebody, you know what I mean? So that's my point. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what Emil is talking about. Like he's saying that at least now he's celebrated as forgiven for stuff that he's done in the past, despite that it's been a roller coaster to get there.
And they won't
He's
even
been
forgive
given
him.
right. He's been
Yeah.
given like a redemption story in that
which is
in that world, which is
yeah.
it is what it is. It makes sense, but
Mhm.
he's looking for that same kind of you know retribution, same kind of recovery, and Thunderbolts might be that for these people without it being a Suicide Squad type deal where they're in the dark. It might be something where people get redemption. I don't know.
That
We'll
also
see.
takes away a big part of Hulk's journey and struggle in the books, where the world hates him, and
Constantly.
Banner's got
Yeah.
to
Weird.
struggle with
Yeah.
that.
I
And
mean,
and
Yeah.
he had that struggle for a bit, up until Age of Ultron. But then after that, it's like now the
Mhm.
world embraces him and wants to take selfies with Smart Hulk and stuff.
yeah.
And you take away that big source of conflict for Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
So
They took that story from
that
us, man.
that part sucks, but
Mhm.
like it at
Mhm.
least in this they're using it, if they're gonna make that decision, which we didn't really like. At least this
Yeah.
show is making something useful out of that by saying, by Blonsky being like, hey, what the fuck, like,
Yeah.
why do you
Yeah.
guys love him now but you're
I
not
like
willing
that.
to give
That
me a
point that
second chance?
yeah, I like that it shines light on
'Cause if
that
you
hypocrisy.
Yeah, because if you look at what Blonsky was saying, he's like, listen, I was only a soldier. I was following orders. I was
Yeah.
sent to get a target. They didn't know what the target was until I got there. And all I did was follow orders, and now I'm in prison. He said, and
Because
he even
Blonsky
said, like,
wasn't an
listen,
angel before he took
no, he
that first
wasn't.
dose of the
He
serum,
wasn't.
but he
He wasn't.
definitely
Wasn't.
changed. He became the
Yes.
Abomination. Like, he was
Yes.
not in his right mind when he kept on taking more and more, and that, so there is something to be said for that, like, why can't he have
But he was a
redemption?
soldier doing his duty. He was following. He was
Right.
following
And so
orders. It wasn't like he was.
we'll see that unfold in this show, and then in possibly in other, pieces of content before the Thunderbolts movie, because the Thunderbolts is still
Mhm.
a ways out. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it like I said, I think they're taking the mistake of Smart Hulk in the MCU and they're making something positive out of that on this show, while hopefully
Yeah.
they're also in the kind of background now with Hulk going off world, steering us back toward the Hulk that we want. So this show could be that kind of nexus point where everything kind of, the ship kind of rights itself. So hopefully we'll see.
Mhm.
I like that they're acknowledging Incredible Hulk. Finally, they're acknowledging that storyline in the MCU as far as what happened in Harlem and
That was
the
a
whole
good that
abomination.
was a good fourth wall break too, when she
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
when he's like, I'm a completely different person now. And
Yeah.
like, that was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I like, and that's
Yeah.
I like. I mean, just the exchange. And then, when he makes his points and her acknowledging, I think what was dope about that scene was the simple fact that he made his point, which she couldn't argue against being a lawyer because he makes a valid point. And after she
Yeah.
finds out that, okay, well, damn, yes, he did take that super soldier serum. And that is, again, we know that the serum itself can bring out the worst in a person, depending on the need at that point. And and she's like, well, that is a solid point. And also knowing that part of his rehabilitation could lead to them, wanting him to work again, Thunderbolts being like, this is a case that would be valid for her to make that point, and with something for her to that she could shine with.
Yep.
So I love that. I also love the exchange between her and Bruce, how she was talking to Bruce and Bruce was trying to get a word in edgewise and let her know it's
Yeah,
okay,
that was
Jen.
good.
It's fine. Like, Jen, it's
They
okay.
just-
Don't worry about
They did
it.
a great job with these 2 episodes,
Yeah.
of just of introducing it, setting up a dynamic with her and Bruce, but then letting Bruce kind of go off and get us excited about what he might be doing, while at the same time, all right, now we're invested in her, and it doesn't have to be tied to her relationship with Bruce. Now he's
Yeah.
off, and now let's focus on her. I think the first 2 episodes, I think, just set up the rest of the show really well. So
Yeah, it did.
all in all, I'm very happy with these first 2 episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
It was also cool to see that Bruce had closure with Abomination. Abomination hit him up and was like, yo, I'm sorry for
Power of
everything.
haikus, man.
That was
The
pretty
power
cool.
of
Yeah.
haikus.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty cool, man.
that was dope. I mean, it was dope that
Mhm.
they're and the thing is, what's because it's interesting because they both said the same thing. Where I was different
Mhm.
then. I'm a different person now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm totally different. I'm not the same
Yeah.
person that you knew back then. Visually so with the Hulk. I'm so glad they fucking fixed the arm. I'm just happy that they fixed that arm. So I'm past that.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Visually, like now, and I think that the path that we're actually, which is very interesting about this last episode, is because I think that we're seeing a path set right when it comes to the Hulk. They're sending him off for a reason, and I think that there's going to be a totally different transition. And I was wrong, and I definitely admit. Somebody said that, I don't know who was it on the panel, said that we would actually see this on this next episode. Did somebody say that last week? I think
About what?
somebody said last week that we would see the Hulk on this episode, in this particular episode, and we would probably get, an idea of why that ship showed up. Did somebody say that last week?
I think we all said we'd have an
I think-
idea, but none of us were like, oh, he's going to be on the ship and then go.
Yeah. I was just wrong because I thought
Nah.
that they weren't going to show anything until no, because I did say that they would probably bring some closure in the very beginning and send him off. So,
I thought it
again,
would be
we're-
a finale, like a
Yeah.
finale piece.
so now we know it's not going to be a finale. So now I'm wondering what is
Mhm.
going to be the finale piece.
That's what
Like,
I'm
what
saying.
would be the
This
They
big
could
event?
show
loop back
is going to set
around
up
to
something
whatever's
big,
going
bro.
on with him, and Jen finds out.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Mhm.
that's the catalyst for where she goes in the MCU after this season. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The possibilities are all exciting, and it's
Mhm.
good to
Yeah.
say that after 2 episodes, there are a bunch of different scenarios that we can envision, and we'd be pretty excited for all of them. So I think that's
Mhm.
I don't think you can ask for more than that out of these
Definitely.
first 2 episodes.
Definitely. And I
Yeah.
think that I think it's going to be okay. So here's my prediction. I think it's going to be a 2-part finale. There's going to be a 2-part after credit scene. There's going to be there's going to be an after credit scene, like when the credits, right before the credits
Oh, like
roll,
with,
and then there's
Moon
gonna be
Knight?
after. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's
Yeah.
going to be that, but I think that after credit scene is that we're going to see She-Hulk walk up the steps. She's going to knock on the door, and when that door opens, y'all ready? It's going to be Vinny, and he's going to be like, "Why are you here?" And it is shuts off. That's what I believe.
Why you at my comic book store?
I believe that. Like, he's just going to be like, "Why are you here?" And then it's going to turn off. That's it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Got questions
Stay
I need
tuned for
answered.
more.
I
What'd
won't
you
bet
say?
against it.
Got questions I need answered. I mean,
You
Stay
got
tuned for
questions.
more.
approach
That
the
boy's
bench
crazy,
or the
bro.
room, one or the other, but start talking.
Just start talking. And if I'm right, which Vinny, I know you didn't watch it, but we already know that
Mhm.
Matt Murdock is going to possibly be in the next episode, I believe. Possibly. Is that what it said?
Either this one
I
or
think-
Wong. I think Wong or
I
Matt
think they
or
said
him.
the rumor.
We
is
don't
like
know.
The
We
rumor
don't
is like
know.
the third or the fourth episode.
The third or the
but
fourth
it hasn't
episode.
been
This is what
confirmed.
they're
Oh, okay.
saying. So it can be this next episode or it could be the episode after that he's actually in it. We don't know. It's just that they're saying that he could be there. So, but that's the thing is going to be interesting to me is how are they going to play that? And what is the reason? Like, why would they bring, like, what is the reason? I mean, now I know basically being a lawyer, but we're not seeing Matt Murdock, the lawyer. We're seeing the Daredevil. So
Well, what if
Well, we're gonna
Titania
see the
sues her
Lord.
Maybe
for
trying to
assault?
find Jessica.
what'd you say, Vinny?
What if Titania sues her for assault?
What if her what?
What if
Oh,
Titania
Titania.
sues Titania, right? What if
Sues-
Titania sues Jennifer
Oh.
for assault?
I don't think.
And
Yeah.
hires Matt.
I don't.
She
I don't
hires
think
Matt.
Matt would take that case.
I'm answering the question. I have no fucking idea why he'd be there.
But
Mhm.
you know what?
We'll see.
who
what
knows,
happens,
though?
But like,
Who knows?
I
If you're a
don't have a
lawyer,
clue
you're
about
going to
why he
take a
would
case.
be in California.
But why?
Like, I
Here's
don't
my
know.
thing. Why the hell was Titania? Why did she break into court in general? Anyway, why was her
She
reason?
broke
For
in there
being
like
there?
the fucking Kool-Aid man.
It says she's mad about that company or something. Something with that company.
But they never said it.
She's mad about something.
And they're doing all this viral social media marketing with Titania. They have a chick like Titania going around New York, like covering up She-Hulk billboards with her poster. It's a lot.
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious,
I don't think they're done with her.
No, they can't be. And that's what I'm wondering. Like, you bring her in,
I mean, because it's
to
someone
that
who's
first
like
episode. Yeah.
Titania.
That outfit has
for
to
those
go,
that don't know,
bro.
Titania is like She-Hulk's Cheetah to Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Somebody who was
Yeah.
a joke for years and years and years, and then eventually, like in modern day, they make her kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
took many years of being a joke before she was ever,
Yeah.
rewritten as a threat.
yeah, we'll
Mhm.
see how they bring Matt in. All I know is I'm excited for it. And Hot Toys, give me that red and yellow fucking suit.
Okay, so Trembadus, I think he actually answered the question. Thank you for that, bro, because I might have missed that point. They said basically she was upset about a traffic court
they
trial.
said it in the episode that she was
Okay.
in traffic court and she like lost it because of what was happening in her hearing in traffic court, and then she like flipped out and lost her shit.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
God.
And again, somebody said that, but yes, Titania is a member of the Thunderbolts. Plain up, she has.
She has
And if
been,
you're
yeah.
reading,
Yeah.
if you're reading the,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the latest. Me myself personally, I love reading the latest run of She-Hulk because Titania
good,
is
yeah.
there, and it's dope because they basically a truce because they She-Hulk says, "Look,
She picks
Aren't
up
you-
like a lamppost.
yeah." She's like, "Aren't you tired of fighting?" She said, "Okay, listen, this is what we're gonna do, both of us." She said, "We're gonna meet on such and such days, and we're just gonna fight. Just get our aggression out, and we're just gonna fight
have a
and
good
just
old
be
night
about our
fight.
way." Yeah, it's just that we're gonna fight because
That way
that's
she
what they
can
always
plan
do.
it too. So because She-Hulk doesn't want to keep messing up her wardrobe
Yeah,
because
it's-
that she's got like all her old clothes back because she's
Yeah.
in Janet Van Dyne's like old apartment and stuff. It's like
yeah,
it's a good run. It's fun. If you
is.
like these first two episodes of the show, you'll like this comic book run.
yeah.
Uh,
It's a fun
Jack of
comic book
Hearts
run.
is in
Yeah.
there. Like there's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun run. So anyway, guys, everybody out there, let us know what you basically think. If you like this episode, man, I know I did. And I can't wait for the third episode. It's going to pick up. I know there was some conversations about how short the run was, but I mean, listen, it is what it is. There's what, 9 episodes, right? There's 9
It
episodes
was
in
either
total.
9 or 10 episodes.
9
I
or
hope we
10,
get a
10
Spider-Man
we still have
cameo or
we
episodes.
still
something.
have like 7 episodes left at least.
Yeah, so I think they'll make up for it. So I'm excited about it. So we'll see how it is. But let's move on to the next topic, man. Because I mean, I want to talk about this. Jedi Kids, you didn't come in. You weren't here when we mentioned this. But the conversation I want to basically have right now is physical media versus the digital world. You know what I mean? So whereas nowadays, you know, for us, I remember like, you know, before there were actually comic book shops around here, Vinny, you know, it was tough. It was a tough thing because you had to either go out to like your local bookstore. For me, it was crazy because I used to go out to Colonial Park Mall, man, and there was wall-to-wall sounds, but at the corner, like Vinny, you know where the jewelry shop is?
Yep.
Like on the corner where the food court is? Remember there used to be a news agent there?
Yep.
And you would walk in and they had all your comics. You could actually go in the back and grab comics. So I used to go there. There weren't too many places where you can actually pick up.
One was Lemoyne.
Yeah, Lemoyne.
There's a little shop in Lemoyne off the off Market Street in Lemoyne, but that was like 20 something minutes away from the city, and like most people didn't even know about it. And then it took years before there was one in Camp Hill Mall, which don't even exist anymore. And then I mean it was a really long time before there was a brick and mortar in the actual city. It was always easy. I mean, I was getting mine from like 7-Elevens and gas stations.
Yeah,
and like
that. Like it was really tough. But then
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven, all of them. But then
I had some subscriptions. I had to worry about them getting my shit in the mail.
I had direct editions too. Yeah,
it was always crazy. But then once comics picked up and they started becoming relevant again, then you started seeing like comic book shops. We had Bob's Comics. Remember that, bro? Right off of Progress Avenue. Actually, before he actually hit Progress, he was up right across the street from Adult World, bro. He was in a little plaza. So you can go lick your booty and then come out and read some books.
And then go get comics.
You know what I mean? Christ. So that's just the way it was. But
the book district.
It was the book district. That's what it was.
That's just family fun right there.
But
you go get your kids out and you're going in mags and get your comics to hide them in.
Exactly. Straight up. But so it's just something about grabbing physical media. It's something about getting your comics, having your box, knowing that the comic guy, your local shop is going to put one pouch, man. Booty Comics. That's a dope name.
That's it. Booty Comics.
Your boss is butt naked. Booty Comics. Anyway, so but nah.
Make mine booty.
Make mine booty, right? Straight up.
Booty Comics.
I can see Brendan's face on the front like this. But nah. Check it out. But it's nothing like physical media. It's nothing like the smell of comics, a fresh comic book, the ink, the pages, turning those pages, seeing that artist run, seeing basically what they bring to the table when it comes to art. Like, some of your prolific writers reading the context, seeing how everything just and then just waiting for the next piece. That's the world we lived in now before the digital world. So whereas now you don't have to pick up physical comics. There's one content creator that I follow that says that, and he's a comic book fan. He's very knowledgeable about comics, but he says he doesn't buy comics anymore. It's all digital because he doesn't really have the time nor space to really do it. So he reads all digital pieces. So it's like, cool, okay, it's cool. And the thing is, digital is good, in my opinion. Digital is good for those who are newly in that maybe not don't have the reach to go back to grab some of the old books, some of the more expensive ones. So if they need to catch up, they can actually go through digital and just find the pieces that you're looking for, the storylines that you're looking for, and catch up.
Yeah.
I get that. But let me ask. I'm gonna start with you, Jedi Ken, on this one, and then we're going to let everybody. Do you think I'm gonna ask you this question? Do you think that there are limitations to digital?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a physical. When I go to the stores. I mean, I grew up. We had a Barney's Comics right by my house, Then we had a Galaxy's Comics near Pennsauken Mart. So I had two spots I would go to as a kid to get books, you know. So I've
Yeah.
always been the kind of guy that I want to have it physically in my hand to read it, and then I'll bag it and put it away. You know, the digital comic thing is, I mean, it's sufficient for some people that, you know, maybe can't get to the store, or if like you're like a newer collector, maybe you want to catch up on some reading or stuff like that. Go for it. But as for me, I like to go pick it up, man. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just how I grew up. You know what I'm saying? I've always liked to go to the stores and see what's new and, you know, what's popping fresh for, you know, for reading. But
Yeah.
as far as getting them like right from my iPhone, it's like I think it takes away some of that. Oh man, it's a brand new book feeling to me.
Yeah.
So that's just
The
I don't. That's just
variant
all I like to go
covers,
pick it
all
up.
that, bro. Like
Yeah,
just being able to get that.
yeah.
If you miss an entire
Mm-hmm.
run, you can actually go back and get the,
Go pick them up. Yeah.
yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
just having that. Like, Vinny, what do you
Mm-hmm.
think, man?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for all y'all, everybody out there that doesn't know, every year it's New York Comic Con for me, Vinny, and now Toya, my guy Bruce. Sometimes we just mob the Comic
Mm-hmm.
Con, New York Comic Con. That's what we do every year.
Yep.
So what I
Mm-hmm.
do is I spend pretty much people are like, yo, Lael, why are you always at the gym? Why are you at the gym 4 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week? I tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a cardio race. We call Vinny Dipset for a reason. The reason why we call Vinny Dipset is because once he's actually in, once we hit the doors, once he is through the doors of the
Everyone
Jacob
out.
Javits Center, the Dipset begins. You can't find him unless you look hard because he's be everywhere.
Dipset.
Dipset Vinny is everywhere, and he's always like, you gotta look and find, because it's like, yo, he's dipping through the crowd. Like, unless you know his hat in his book bag, and his
Yeah.
his print tubes, you're not gonna be able to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
him. So it's just like, come on, man. Like, so your cardio got to be up, because you walking. We start at one end, we go to the other. It's always basically an event. Vinny, do you think there are limitations with digital? Do you think that it's there's pluses, we know, but do you think that there are limitations when it comes to digital?
Well, first of all, I just want to quote the great Stan Lee, who infamously said, "Comics are like boobs; they look great on a computer screen, but I'd rather hold one in my hand."
Mm.
And there's something to be said for that. There's a difference. There's something about the physical media, and yes, there's limitations. Absolutely, there's.
It just looked like it looked when you said it. Brendan is sitting still. It's like a bubble just popped up out of, like a comic bubble that said, "Love me some titties." Like, I could just.
Can I see one?
The flip side of that is there's a large percentage of people that grow up reading comics that don't have the option of holding a titty in their hand.
Yeah.
So seeing it on the screen is their best option.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point. I think that we're discussing. Some
Jim
people
Carrey.
have those limitations of only being able to like check it out on screen because of physical limitations. There's obviously limitations for
VR
physical media
now,
from by means of financially, economically, and space. Space is the big hurdle for most people when it comes to physical media, whether from any type of media. But the limitations, I feel like, are it's the limitations are there's differences. I mean, I feel like the enjoyment that you get out of reading the actual physical media and having it and it being yours is, I think, is the biggest limitation, because with digital media, none of it is ever really truly actually yours. Like there's an infamous case of Bruce Willis suing Apple because he couldn't give his iTunes library to his daughter when he died in his will, because he didn't technically own it. You're technically renting everything digital. Now that's moot point for a lot of people who just want to read these stories and move on, and maybe they don't feel like collecting. They just want to read Secret Wars to see what happened and get ready for a movie, or they just want to catch up on old Spider-Man comics that they'll never be able to afford, and that's great. And that's also great if they want to check out new X-Men comics that, instead of picking them up on the
Yeah.
newsstands. I mean, if you're reading actual comics, you're supporting the company, and that's great. But for me, I think it's more of a personal preference than I think it's more of a subjective decision than an objective one. I feel like whatever works best for you and gets you reading is what is beneficial. Because if you have to jump through hoops to get your physical comics and you get tired of it and you wind up stopping reading because it's too much of a hassle, then you might as well have stuck with digital. But for me, I've picked up physical comics since I was 11 years old, and I can't, I've never really stopped for more than a year or so. So
Yeah.
it's going to be something that is always just ingrained in me to want to do and to read the actual comics. But there's been digital comics issues I've read just to see what it was like. I don't love the extra strain on my eyes that the screen of a iPad or phone gives me on top of how much I'm already on my phone too much. So I'm in a way giving my eyes a break by reading an actual book versus staring at my screen any longer than I need to in a day. But
Yeah.
it's a preference. I mean, and then there's also the limitations. The other limitation would be also collectability. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you buy a you know Amazing Spider-Man 129 with first appearance of Punisher when you were when it came out, it's now valuable. That'll never happen on any comic that you buy digitally. But if that has no interest to you, then it's moot point. But if that's something that you're interested in and collecting comics for possible investment down the line for you or for your kids or grandkids to pass on to
Yeah.
them where they might be worth money someday, then you want to buy actual books because they'll never be worth more money on digital. And I think if you talk about actual concrete limitations, that's probably number one.
Agree. I definitely agree with that. Same question, Brendan. Do you think, we know there's some pluses. I still see that bubble in your head right now, bro. Like you think about something. But do you think there are there are some pluses and bonuses, but do you think there are limitations in digital, like with digital?
Here's the
I
thing.
want to see what can
I
I
use both in a
Yeah.
way that works wonderfully for me.
Yeah.
And it's going to come down to the individual. Some people, if you live out in the sticks and you don't have an LCS that you can get to regularly,
Mhm.
then digital might be your only option, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the physical space to store books, when I look at the number of titles that I read,
Mhm.
if I bought the physical copies of those every single week, I can't. I just can't devote that much space.
Mhm.
Especially, I've been reading comics since I was a kid. I can't, if I had physical copies of everything moving forward, there's just no way. It's not tenable.
Mhm.
So what I do is I have a combination of digital and physical. Okay.
Mhm.
There
Mhm.
are certain books that I will buy the physical copies of for the collectible side of it. Like I
Mhm.
collect hot toys, like I collect statues and stuff. Like I get art prints. I look at them as like art prints, right? Where
Mhm.
I'm gonna get them in like really. I'm gonna put them in like really good like mylar bags, like quality bags, so that they display the best, right? I'm gonna or I get them slabbed, and get them graded, and the collectability of that is big. So and display value and stuff like that for me personally. So that's how I look at that. So there are tons of books that I read digitally that I don't buy physically. And then there are ones that
Mhm.
I both buy digitally to read and physically to have
Mm-hmm.
either graded or displayed and as collectibles. Um, and so it's a combination. There are a lot of good aspects of digital. One, on my iPad, I like the fact that the cinematic mode, where you can go panel by panel and you swipe and it transitions to the next
Oh
panel.
yeah.
So if something really crazy and big is happening at the bottom of the page or on the next page, you don't get it spoiled because your eye is drawn to that really, big, colorful, explosion or whatever. You go panel by panel, so you get the reveal, not just when you flip the page, but actual panel by panel. I really dig that.
Panel, yeah.
The other thing is that it helps lower the barrier of entry for a lot of people when, let's say, you haven't been reading comics for a long time and you're just getting back into them, or you've never read and you're starting out for the first time.
Yeah.
With stuff like Comixology, for example, you can get their $5 a month subscription, so that in addition to like buying, new books and stuff like that digitally, there are also a backlog of things that you can get for free as part of that $5 a month. So if you want to go and catch up on a bunch of runs of something to get current on something, or if you want to go catch up on something that is being adapted to, to the MCU or character or something like that, you can go back and you can just jam through like 100 issues that are free, right? So then you can get caught up, and then by lowering that barrier of entry, then you give people the opportunity to get more into comic books, and then they're caught up and they feel like, I'm not overwhelmed because I don't know where to start, because they're not paying for it all individually. They've got a subscription, and then once they're caught up, now they're deep into these and they're like, okay, I really love this book, I want to keep going. And now they subscribe to the actual, like, purchasing that book moving forward. So it gets more eyeballs on comic books. Now, yes, digital can negatively impact LCSs, brick and mortar local comic shops, if they don't adapt to the times and they don't serve their markets really well. That's why you see a lot of brick and mortar comic shops that are also running eBay stores as well, that are also that are also running whatnot auctions, right? So that they can still have their brick and mortar, but they can also reach people across the country who maybe they don't have an LCS. So now they're buying stuff from, a place in California when they're in Boston, or vice versa, So it expands access and the ability for people to get into comics. So while, yes, digital, can have a negative impact on LCSs if they don't adapt, it's also having a very positive impact for publishers, because more indie labels, and then Marvel and DC and the big boys, they can see readership go up because these apps are making it more accessible to people. So I think there's a really good aspect to digital. But for me, I'm also never going to fully abandon physical, because, again, I love having these physical books. I love having, you can't have a digital copy that's signed by a creator that you absolutely respect, right? I got, a book signed by Frank Miller at Fan Expo Boston. I can't have him sign a digital copy, right? This one is signed by Joe Quesada, all right? I wouldn't be able to have that in digital format. So there are collectible aspects to it, like we collect hot toys and statues and stuff, that I don't think is going to go anywhere, especially with the boom in variant covers right now. People are collecting them as art pieces, right? So people want those physical books for resale value, right? If you want to get in the comic game and you want to get stuff and you want to grade and flip stuff, and people make a living doing that, right? People fund their collections by doing stuff like that. So I don't think that's going away, and I don't think digital is damaging the comic industry as a whole. I think everybody just needs to figure out if and how it works within their own mindset for collecting. Like Vinny said, it's subjective. People are all digital, other people are all physical, and there are people who, are both. Sometimes you getting physical in person, and then other times, you got porn on your phone. That's how, digital. So
pretty much,
so pretty that's much what it, I think there's value. I think there's value to both. And it's not something where you're like, I don't think it's smart to be hardcore against one or the other. It's based on everybody's experience and everybody's situation. But like for me personally, the combination of the two works great for me because I can focus my physical collecting on what I really want, that I have room for, and that I want to display as art. And then I can still enjoy all the stories on my iPad.
And then, I mean, it's definitely good if, you know, for traveling purposes, if you don't want to take an entire catalog of books with you, if you're traveling, you want to be able to read, you can pull your pad out, you can, you know, look on your phone, any type of handheld devices.
You
Digital
ain't getting
is there.
on a plane with an omnibus.
Exactly. Right.
Like, yeah, that's not happening, but
That's
you can
definitely
have
not gonna happen.
thousands of books worth on your iPad when you're traveling. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of, but I mean that I also strongly advocate for people who have never experienced it or haven't done it in a long time to pick up a physical book and feel the pages in your hand, smell that book. Like that sounds weird, but like that new comic book smell, man. If they made a car air freshener that was called new comic book smell, I would buy that shit in a heartbeat and put it in my car, right? And you just the feel of the pages and the different eras too, because if you feel, you know, books from the 60s and 70s and 80s, and you feel that like news stock, that newsprint style paper that feels different, and then you feel the stuff today that's a little bit glossier and it's got that kind of sheen to it. Like you feel the different eras in that tactile sensation when you're reading books physically. So I encourage everybody to do both, because I think you can enjoy it on digital great, but you can also like I don't know if you guys have this experience, but the other day, yesterday actually, I spent a couple hours putting fresh bags and boards in a bunch of my books, right?
I like doing that though.
That shit was it was cathartic, man. It was so fun because I'm taking books out, and also like I personally prefer Mylar bags because I just love the way they display. I think the books look great in them. I feel like it's a nice crisp feel and fit to them. So I really love Mylar bags instead of going with polypropylene. Now I know it's a lot more expensive, and so you know you got to eat that cost, but like I'm taking these books out of like, and a bunch of them are like older, like vintage books that I've picked up recently, and then other ones that are just in old bags and due to be swapped out. And when you take a fresh board and a fresh bag, and you take the book out and you slide it into that, and then you just look at it. I was just geeking out at the art on the covers of these books as I was swapping them, and I would take a minute to like take the book and just kind of like flip through the pages a little bit before. Like I could have bagged and boarded them 10 times faster than I actually did because I was appreciating all of the covers and the interiors as I was doing it. And I just had a hell of a fun afternoon doing it. I had a blast doing it. So
that's the thing for fans of physical media. Like there's technically literally an art to the printing process, and there's literally like books that have more care or more money is put into the process of printing. Like you'll see books that the printing job is done better than others, and like there's smaller companies that can't afford to print as clean as other companies, and there's sometimes it's vice versa. It's it's an art to the printing process of the physical media. So there's a lot of times you'll look at reviews of certain trades or old comics online, and you'll see people actually point out like, oh, this was a beautiful addition in the way they printed it or brought it together, and that you don't get with looking at it on a screen. Everything's going to look virtually the same because it's going to be just a proof. So it's definitely something to the physical aspect of collecting, and then there's obviously advantages to convenience for the digital. So I like that that there is both as an option, so that one way or the other, whatever is easiest for you, like it's people reading, because that's
absolutely
the most important part. And I love
that's the most
that.
important. That is like as long as you read. As long as you read.
I hope that nothing ever stops brick and mortars from existing, but if God forbid it ever does, I would want that not to be the end of actual digestion of comic book media in another way. So
it's crazy because my comic book shop, their other store, because they're a brick and mortar, but they actually have a franchise store. Comics Connection. So in their at their other store, they sell books, but they actually have desks, like they have like kiosks where not kiosks, but like just like certain desks where you can actually sit down, and they actually have devices or computers where you can actually log on and read digital aspect, that reads the digital comics, and it just walks you through it. Just look at this, different books, because they promote that. And I think they basically have an agreement, they actually have an agreement with Comixology to do that. You know what I mean?
That's
but
dope to do it like that.
Because
that's
that gets
a
people
lot
to
of
read.
stores. That's why you've seen
That's
a
a
lot
good
of brick
idea.
and mortar stores kind of shift gears to being just solely physical long boxes with books, and see now a lot more collectibles. And you'll see a lot of them sell T-shirts now, and pops, Funko Pops, and
we have
figures,
T-shirts,
and
pops,
all kinds of other stuff to try to supplement that income lost by people who go on the digital route. On top of people phasing in and out of comics, they're to keep that going, which is something that is now a very much more like lucrative thing than it ever was when we were growing up too. It's like like you look at like an FYE, for instance, and like a huge portion of their store is now like a dedicated thing to the collectible side of
for figures and stuff,
comics and pop culture stuff that is primarily DC and Marvel and so forth. So.
And they show the different, like Lael, you said, like with them having a deal with Comixology and stuff too. There are a couple things. One, it shows that nature of like the more access people have to comic books, the better for the industry as a whole, because it means more eyeballs, more people will read them. Okay. So that's great. So digital provides that easy access point. But then there's the other side of collecting comics, reading and collecting comics that is fun. That is the collecting side. And there's that thrill of the hunt when you're going into, into a shop and you're sifting through dollar bins,
looking
you're
for
sifting
variants,
through long boxes, and you come across that book that you've been hunting forever
for years.
And you find a good copy of it, and you're like, oh my God, this is like it. You get that electricity in your blood. You get that, and it's something that, Lael, you and I, with the size of the collections that we have in terms of hot toys, we're kind of beyond that, right? Where we're not going back and trying to hunt down these great figures that we want. Now it's more like we're just waiting for like new releases.
New ones.
We're not there isn't that thrill of the hunt, right? There isn't that dude, like I get excited. I'm messaging somebody, dude. I just found Daredevil 7. I just got
it re-released. Yeah, I mean, so
right, but that's no fun because it's still you're just getting it at retail. Like you didn't have to hunt for it, and then when you find it, it's that thrill of like, oh my God, I'm holding this in my hand. I have it, right? So there's that collectible aspect that I feel like is missing from a lot of the other stuff that I collect that never goes away with comic books.
Yeah, true.
Because there's always more amazing books out there that you don't have that that are worthy of hunting down and of trying to find, and then you get those, and then there's the next step of if you want to get them pressed and graded and stuff, and then you're waiting for them to come back and see what you get, and then you could display them, and there's that fun to it. So there's so many pros, for both sides, even like digital, and the fact that you've got these great creators like, Scott Snyder. It has a deal with Comixology now, and he's doing a bunch of digital exclusives for them that I'm really enjoying. That it's like, yes, I would love to have those books physically too, but the fact is that there are those that are going to be exclusive to that side, and they're really enjoyable, and I wouldn't want to miss out on those stories because I'm like, no, I'm only physical and I'm not going digital. Because I'll tell you, I am loving the ever-living hell out of his Barnstormers and Canary comics that he's doing with Comixology. I absolutely love them, right? So there are pros to to both sides, and to be honest, I don't see that many cons to either side. I really enjoy both.
Well,
I think it's just a matter of how how it fits into your collecting.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question. Let me ask this. I was gonna say, like, I always have like this I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like a big fear of us losing the physical media soon, as far as everything going digital when it comes to comics.
It's not
I
going
hope
to.
that day doesn't come.
Nah,
Yeah, I hope it
I
doesn't
don't
come.
think it's not going to
It's
happen.
not going
And
to.
this, as long as you have
Mhm.
Comic Cons, bro, as long as you have the cons,
Mhm.
and the thing is, because these shows are forcing people to go back to get physical media. It's forcing people to actually,
Yeah,
because there's both
yeah.
sides
Hope
to it.
that
It'll
never
never
ends,
go
bro.
away. It'll never end.
Mhm.
I mean, for instance, like I remember, like what was it? It was the comic. It was the Comic Con before last, I think, Benny.
Yeah.
Or was it the
Mhm.
last one where you actually you were looking for the giant size Hulk CGC?
X-Men 181. I mean, Giant Incredible Hulk 181. First Prince Wolverine.
The Wolverine, yeah.
The
Yeah.
Wolverine, yeah. So you were looking for that one, and I
Yep.
think that, or I don't know, I think it was before that, because the CGC copy that you got, you were looking at, you were going to different places, and then right before we left, I think it was on a Saturday or Sunday, you was like, "Yo, remember that book I was trying to find?" I was
Yep.
like, "Yeah." You said, "I got it," but that thing was
Yep.
worth $2.5 grand. So
And
just
that's a
imagine
low
me
grade
walking,
copy. It
and
was
imagine me
2.5 grand.
basically.
No, that was 2019 before the boom. So
That was
that was
2019, right?
Yeah, that was a 6.5.
Uh-huh.
It's a little different now.
The 6.5.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
So
a 6.5 now is more like $6 grand.
Yeah,
So-
that's his point.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh, okay. So that it
Yeah, the
jumps on
secondary
us.
market for
Yeah.
physical
Mhm.
books is keeping the primary market strong, right? The secondary market, that's the thing. It's never going to go completely digital, because if it goes completely digital, you lose the collectible aspect where people are willing to spend $100 on a book that was
To get that
$3.99.
one book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
unless you're going to CGC your digital computer,
Yeah, there you go.
Slap
You
the
gonna cover it up in
iPad.
plastic.
Yeah, slap the iPad.
CGC is starting to grade Funko Pops. They're going to be doing everything now. So
They're
who
gonna-
knows?
Yeah,
Man.
pretty soon.
But that's the
Yeah.
thing. Physical is never going to go away for this industry.
That was a big fear of mine, bro,
The
for
nature of
years.
this industry is physical, and it's always going to have a presence like that. And that's and the digital can't survive without the physical. All right. And that's the thing where, a lot of people will be like, "Oh no, screw this. I'm old school. I'm not doing digital." Like, it's not one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's like a false equivalency that people, kind of make up. It's not like, "Oh no, screw digital. They're trying to like erase the physical." That's not the goal, and that doesn't matter if it was, because that's never going to happen. That's not.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works. There's so much. Not to mention it. One of the things that is even said in hard economic times in a recession, it's safer to put your money into collectibles, into rare collectibles, than it is to put your money into stocks and bonds and things like that, because there's always some rich people out there who will pay a ridiculous amount,
For
who will
this book.
pay $300,000 for a Detective Comics 27, right? So you'll be able to turn something like this into cash very quickly, so that aspect of it is just not going to go away, because there's so much financial gain to have there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I said, I mean, there's no, definitely, guys, everybody out there, there's no worry for physical copies or physical media going away. The common, and which is mainly the common question right now, especially living in this digital world right now. But there's benefits to both, benefits for research purposes and stuff like that. Sometimes people get lazy, they don't want neither, and they actually go to content creators to get information. So again, this is one of those things. But like I said, as long as there's comics, as long as there's these stories to be written, they'll never be rid of physical media. So anyways, guys, it's been a great show.
It's a good show, man.
Everybody out there, has been such a great show. Thank you guys for basically tuning in. The 36 people that were here with us, it was a bit more. If on your way out, make sure you basically hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Jedi K, what you got going on, man? What you got coming up in your life, man? Your neck of the woods.
Still waiting to move. We're still waiting for lumber. I think I'm still pissed because the house is up, but it's just so much stuff they gotta get fixed up inside, like 2 more rooms. So just lumber and waiting to move. And I'm really debating on I gotta build something for this tumbler, man. I don't know if I should get a module case or what you get for yours. You have it in a module case or something,
No,
or did you build something?
it's not. It's definitely not going to work in a module case. Well, it will depending on what you're going for. What I was going for, it wasn't going to work. It just wasn't. It wasn't the space that I needed. It wasn't the space that I.
It also
have to
depends
build
if you go
something.
for like the max or something, or if you go for like because there are different types. Like the 1/6 is not going to work, but if you went with like the max, you might be able to.
Yeah, because
I want to be able to
the
fit
tumbler is
Batman in there
wide,
with it.
bro. It's too
Yeah,
wide.
it's
So you know
wide
what
as
I'm
hell.
doing? I actually built the platform. I'm building a platform for it where I can just create like a diorama space out of it for what I want. Because it's not going to look right the way it's not going to look right in a display case the way I want it unless it's
Are you
like
going to have it on
Yeah.
a like Lazy Susan, like a turntable, so it rotates on the display?
Nah, I would like to do something like that, but I need to. Bro, this thing is big as fuck. Like it
It's
is.
big, bro.
It's literally big.
It's big. You got it, Brendan?
No, I
Dude,
like
big,
it,
bro.
but I like it, but it's just if I were going to do a Batmobile, I would only do one. And to be honest, I was very tempted to get the 66 from Jazz Inc. I didn't end up pulling the trigger on that. But if I was going to get a Batmobile, it would either be that or it would be the 89 Keaton Batman.
I got this.
It would be one of those two. So I passed on the Tumbler. I like it. I just wasn't willing to devote the space to it.
See, a buddy of mine bought a like a tool shack for a garage from Home Depot and converted it into like a 4-layer cabinet, bro. Painted it black, put the lights in it and everything for his tumbler and for his he has an Affleck from Jazz Inc. The Affleck Batmobile too. So that's what I think I might do. Get like
Affleck is the actor. Affleck is the duck.
You know what I mean, fool. Oh my god, this dude. But it's just I want to build something for it, man, because I don't think IKEA would have nothing for it either. You don't think that will hold that?
Oh hell no. Not something.
If anything,
that. Not something that I would trust to support the weight too.
If you got a Home Depot or a Lowe's, go there, and you can just construct
something. And just build something.
Much.
Yeah,
there's ways to do it. So. Anyway, man,
yeah.
Again, my brother, thank you for basically being here with us
no
tonight.
Doubt, no
if you
doubt.
haven't already, get on over there, man. Follow Jedi Pimp, man, and get it popping. As always, man, sir. Get it popping. So again, IG Master Sergeant on Instagram.
That's
Make
me.
sure you do so.
That's me.
Jedi Pimp. Vinny, what you got coming up, bro?
Catching up on bagging and boarding, just getting stuff filed away and catching up on more reading, more art. Same old. Probably catch me on Civilized Scoundrels on Thursday coming up.
Yes.
Other than that, looking forward to Labor Day weekend. Might do some stuff with the family, and just catch up on more stuff around the house. More reading, more filing, and getting more scouting and started coming up with a game plan and plan of attack for New York Comic Con, because like we've talked about in previous shows, I always go into those with a game plan laid out, and there's a lot of things I want to accomplish at that con, so I want to make sure I can do so efficiently.
Yeah,
even with 3 days, you still gotta have a plan.
Yep, it's 3 days, but you definitely gotta have a plan, man. If you haven't already, follow Vinny Vincent R. Dunn on Instagram. Great stuff. His store, the link to his store is on his site as well. So brother, thank you for being here as always.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
My man, butt naked, no pants dance. What's going on, bro?
Not much. So, well, actually, no, there's a lot, but I'm still thrown off because new episodes of She-Hulk are Thursdays and not Wednesdays. So I wake up every morning on Wednesday and I'm ready to watch.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yeah. Foiled again. So but that's okay because there's some good books coming out this Wednesday. One Amazing Fantasy 1000. All right, that's a big one. And there's gonna have like a murderer's row of artists and writers all doing like Spidey tributes and stuff in that for his 60th anniversary. I mean, Amazing Fantasy is the title that launched Spider-Man in Marvel Comics back in the day, and they're doing issue 1000, so it's going to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. There's the next issue in Variants, the one with Jessica Jones that I've really been digging the first couple issues, so I'm looking forward to that one. And then they're launching Thunderbolts, a new run of Thunderbolts with Clint Barton leading them. You've got Spectrum, you've got America Chavez. So I'm looking forward to that. If anybody is interested and still hasn't done it yet, I got to go yesterday, and I fucking loved it. It's my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I'm pretty sure Rogue One is in select IMAX theaters until Wednesday.
This weekend I'm going.
In some places, no, not this weekend. I think Wednesday is it. Some places it was only this past weekend, and some they go until I think like Wednesday, but that's it. I went yesterday. It's my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, and to see that in IMAX, one more time, I loved every second of it. And the sneak peek first look that they give for Andor got me so much more excited, and I was already really excited for that show. They do the full trailer, but there's also like a 3-minute behind the scenes featurette, and then there's an extended version. A fairly extended version of one of the scenes that they've released on YouTube. I really enjoyed it. Vinny, you probably will not want to go do that.
Did they show all that before it or after it?
Before the movie.
Oh,
after the previews, before the main movie starts.
All right, so I would have had to just one more bathroom run and then come back in.
And then you come back in like 7 minutes, because it's like behind the scenes thing, and then
it's still playing here, man. Let me see.
So, but man, I love that movie, and seeing it on an IMAX screen is so damn cool. So I had a blast doing that. So if you're in an area where they are playing it, I highly recommend. I mean, it's Star Wars on the big screen. Like, what else do you need to, hear?
Yeah.
So I recommend going to do that. Other than that, just coming up soon, I know we've got, I'm going to be doing some streams with the guys at Collecting Weekly. John's going to start a new kind of monthly comic recap type thing. So we'll do that at some point. We got to work out, Lael and I and this gentleman have to work out just scheduling. But in the next couple of weeks, at some point, we will have a special guest in Chris from Journo's Comics and Collectibles YouTube channel coming on to this show to shoot the shit with us on comics. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, definitely do it. Dude's just an awesome guy, and he's got a great YouTube channel. It's called Journo's Comics and Collectibles, JERNOS. And give him a sub. He's got some like 13,000 subscribers. He's got a really good channel, very knowledgeable about the collecting side of comics. I think his collection is like over 25,000 books that he's got, something like that. So yeah, he's a cool dude, and we should have him on here sometime in the next couple of weeks. So definitely look out for that. In the meantime, just check out his content on his channel, because it's really good. And then I think we'll be doing a stream tomorrow night with.
Well, we're not going to do it on a stream. It's going to be on her IG because she normally has. So yeah, she'll. We just have to go to her page and jump in. She already has. She's been promoting. You probably got like a tag or something like that on the phone. So we actually jump in on her Instagram page, because she's going to go live there for the unboxing. So yeah, we're going to do that tomorrow night.
So that's for people who don't know. That's Ray Kenix. That's who we've done streams with before. The amazing Ahsoka cosplayer, and Lael generously gifted her a Clone Wars Ahsoka hot toy. that it only took like 4 years for Sideshow to
4
deliver.
years for them to get it to her like dummies. But
So she finally has it now. So she's gonna unbox it. We're gonna join her and just kind of hang
Yeah.
out with her. She's great. So looking forward to that. That's tomorrow night. And that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to everybody on this panel, make sure you actually do. If you haven't already become a member or subscribed to the 1-6 Scale Man YouTube channel, make sure you basically do that. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in and sticking around with us the entire evening, man. Until next week, we love y'all. We will be back to talk more She-Hulk next week with some more topics. You know what it is. You know what time it is. It's that Monday night comic book talk with friends. We are out all day, every day. Love y'all. Peace.